Hello, thank you for attending our webinar today. The topic is Google Analytics on Steroids, New Features and What You Need to Know. Joining me today will be Jim Snyder. He is a certified analytics partner with Google, and he works for Empirical Path. But before we get started, a little bit about Point It. Point It was launched in April of 2002. We're Seattle's largest independent search marketing firm, leading with products like paid search management and SEO. Last year we managed $30 million in media budgets, and we service clients across all verticals and revenue models. And now for a little bit of housekeeping. Today's webinar is being recorded, so if you miss part of it, never fear. We're going to send out an email a little bit later this week that will have a link to the presentation as well as the presentation itself. Also, during the presentation, we encourage you to ask questions. The point of the webinars is for us all to learn, and so we want you to ask questions so that we can have our expert answer them at the end. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Jim Snyder.
Preston, thanks so much. Thanks everybody for joining us. It's great to always great to talk to folks about Google Analytics, a product that I'm really passionate about. Just some quick background on Empirical Path. All we do is measurement. We're focused on web analytics, market research, and campaign measurement. That's why it's great to team up with Point It on the search and marketing side. We have offices in DC, New Mexico, and Atlanta. We have a very close partnership with Google as a certified partner, and that's been a great relationship for us to expose us to sort of the features inside the tool, and to your right are just some of the companies that we've worked with on analytics. So a little bit about our agenda today. These are the features that essentially that if you're not using now, you really need to be considered to use them in GA. They're going to save you time. They're going to give you more insights than you imagined, and make you a rock star in your C-suite, or at least to the folks in your C-suite. There are some some of these that you've heard of. Some of them are very recently released. Others that are new parts to features, especially multi-channel funnels and the API. So we'll start out talking about A/B testing, which essentially is just merged with the Google Website Optimizer product, or just at least taken over it. Then I'll take a look at a little bit of a deeper dive into multi-channel funnels and what dimensions you should really look at inside of the multi-channel funnel tool. That leads us into the API, which feeds the ability to see GA results inside of Google Docs, so you don't really have to use the user interface to see all your results. So let's get started. We'll have let's get, just basically take a look at the content experiments. So what is content experiments? Why is it important? Why do you care? This feature is really a very valuable. It basically gives you the insight to look at your landing pages, and lets you look at different copy, at different calls to action, offers, discounts, even details down to the color of your buttons and the layouts. Each page is served up automatically with an equal number of times, so that basically through content experiments, you can basically see which is the most effective page, and Google Analytics kind of does all the work for you and serves up the most successful page at the end. So who's actually using the tool, and what did they get out of it? Here's an example of a client of ours, Capital. They basically sell brokerage accounts on Wall Street, and what you're looking at is the original landing page for a client, for Capital. The call to action obviously is a sign up, and each sign up to Capital is huge. It really is the lifeblood of their business, and if they can get just one more sign up for a brokerage account, it's very important. So we set up content experiments for them in Google Analytics to try to maximize that landing page experience, and to understand what are the most effective, what is the best way. So what you're seeing now is our 4 different landing pages. We worked with the design team to create 4 different versions. Sort of their marketing pitch is that they're kind of a gaming interface to the stock market. And so you can see that there's 4 different landing pages for classic gaming characters: Mario, Space Invaders, Angry Birds. Some of you might be familiar with how A/B testing works. I'm not going to really go into a lot of detail. It's a little bit of a black box in Google Analytics, but suffice to say that Google just does all the work. You basically have to tell Google, here's a landing page, and it will serve up each page an equal amount of time and show you which one is the most effective. And in this case, we set up the sign up as the goal. And really, this is kind of a little bit of a look inside the setup of content experiments. What's involved is pretty straightforward. You basically have your variations. You have your original page, and then you have variations. You can have up to 5 variations in here. And suffice to say that I get a lot of questions about SEO concerns, and that basically you can set it up so that you can include an REL canonical parameter to the search engine, so that basically that's a way to tell the search engines, that these are the same pages and that they're not served individually, so that's not going to affect your ranking on SEO. Each experiment will have a goal which to evaluate a winner. This is sort of a we'll cover a little bit more about goals a little bit later, but basically this is sort of a way to sort of say, well, what is the what do I want people to do? How am I what am I actually measuring that I want as a success? In this case, we want to measure people that completed that form, so we've already set that as a goal here. In this case, you can set a percentage of people that see the experiment. In this case, we released it to 100, but you're able to tweak that to different percentages in case you wanted to try it out, sort of maybe at a lower percentage, 75, 50, or 25%, for example. So just like Google Website Optimizer, there's a simple workflow. You can basically it'll spit out some code for you, and basically you put this code on your original page, and then there's a little bit of validation that goes through, and essentially it walks through a wizard, and you're ready to go. And so so I'm sure everybody's wondering who won the content experiment. In this case, it's a real one, and this is great, right? So we can see that we served this experiment for 15 days. We had Google serve up each page equally and determine with statistical significance that the Angry Birds landing page won, and it's a 99.93 chance to beat the original. There's even an option to serve that page up automatically. So this was really a huge win for Capital, because they were able to really maximize their the effectiveness of their landing page, and it was important. And you can go to Capital's page if you want to see the actual page served, capital with a K.com. All right, so next up, I wanted to talk a little bit about goals in custom reports. These are existing features, but ones that have changed somewhat recently. And so I just wanted to provide a little bit of background to our next area, multi-channel funnels. So just to give a little. Yeah,
hey,
go ahead,
Jim, there are tools out there, and what is it missing that some other tools might have?
Great. Yeah. So good question. So basically, content experiments is kind of a lighter version of, in replacing Website Optimizer. It basically lost multivariate testing, so you're able to only really compare different variations of a single page. And also that there's more powerful tools out there that we work with quite a bit. Optimizely, Visual Website Optimizer are two that come to mind that are paid, but that really give you a lot more features and let you, for example, serve up different pages to different people in different targeting, some things like heat mapping and some other features and other tools. But I think content experiments is really sort of a great way to get started, and and really an easy way to sort of prove value and get and see lift on some things that you can do. And so it's a great addition to GA. So just wanted to give you a little bit of flavor on goals. Goals are a way to tell Google Analytics that a conversion occurred. It can be a purchase, someone going to a directions page, staying longer than 5 minutes. It's very flexible. I just wanted to reiterate that it's really super important to set these in Google Analytics. Some of them are really simple to do. Some of them are a little bit more complex. For example, maybe one is setting a thank you page where that's the only unique URL. In other cases, it requires some more customized setup. But what you're looking at here is a gaming website, and here's a typical online purchase screen, and basically you can see the different steps and typical sign in and shipping and payment, etc. And so to the right, what you see is a funnel. A goal funnel. Part of a goal is basically you're able to tell Google Analytics, well, here's the first step. In this case, it's the first step is adding to cart, and then credit card, etc. And what you can see is what's great is with the funnel is you can see where somebody drops out. And each of those steps is defined part of the goal. We can see that this goal in a little bit greater detail here, and so we can see really deep inside of the funnel, and it's great information. Right here we've set up e-commerce tracking on this gaming site, and many of you have seen this funnel, so it's great. We know, for example, here we can see that it's an 18% conversion rate, so that's great information. One funnel goal feature that you may not have seen that's relatively new is called the goal new feature for the goal. It sort of takes this feature to the next level. So what you're seeing here is that you're able to not only are you able to sort of see that somebody moved on from cart to checkout, etc., but you're able to sort of do it on a very specific basis. So right now we can, for example, we could dive in and see Google organic. We could dive in and only understand how that segment of traffic behaves coming through the site. So we can understand a little bit more if we wanted to maybe understand how people come from paid search or YouTube or some of these other. Here at the top is that I've segmented only to show tablets. So a lot of the gaming people use tablets to navigate a website, and so I really want to be able to understand how are they purchasing versus somebody coming in from, let's say, a regular web browser. And that's just really good information that you'll want to know and understand about your customers, so that you can optimize those pages and be able to really serve those audiences better and ultimately to create greater sales. So this is great information here. We're still seeing the gaming site. We know that each source is contributing to our sales. We can see a breakdown. How organic is big. Paid and referral traffic. We can really get a sense of what do I need to do to invest. To get sales up. So, maybe I need to. I see email has only contributed 19 sales into that funnel, and so this is good information. But what you're looking at right now is the last click. Many of you are familiar with what that is essentially. If I come from, let's say I came from paid, and then a few days later did a search, compared around to some other gaming sites, and came back in organic, I'd show up as organic is getting the credit for the sale. And so a lot of that information is lost here. So that last click model, while it's good information, it's good to drive your decisions on how your performance is on the site, but it's a little limiting. And so what I wanted to talk about next is sort of a little bit sort of a continuation of that thought, which is multi-channel funnels, and where our gaming story kind of continues. But basically, what this is a diagram of what I was just describing, which is if I have a whole a purchase funnel, or if I have a marketing campaign, and it's pretty complex. I mean, I'm not just coming from organic and I just bought. There was a lot more sort of behind the curtain, right? So it's almost never really as simple as I see a display ad and then buy. And so Google Analytics came out with multi-channel funnels to sort of expose a little bit of this behavior kind of behind the scenes, so that we can get a sense of what and how people go, let's say, from organic to social to purchase, or email. Sometimes, as you can see, often never gets credit because it's never like the first. It's never the last thing that somebody does. So it's always sort of lagging behind. And so this is a multi-channel funnels report. And again, this is something that's been out for a little while, but I just wanted to stress the importance of this report. And we can see that that there's 2,500 conversions, right? 2,579 conversions. Almost half of those are assisted in some way. And we can see right away that the social channel, which wasn't on this last slide, we didn't see this before. We didn't see social showing up here at all, getting no credit. All of a sudden, we can understand social is really impacting our sales, and it's not just as simple as somebody came from organic and bought my gaming console. And so this is an assisted conversion report in multi-channel funnels. The key takeaway here is that really the biggest value proposition for folks on this kind of reports is that last column, which is highlighted. And we see that email, display, and social are super important in our marketing mix, that they weren't even on the radar on our last first report that we saw. So the assist, we can see that the assist conversion ratio this is actually a number, a ratio that's essentially a ratio of assisted to last click interactions. So essentially, the higher the number above or close to 1 or above 1 means that channel was strongly impacting in the purchase funnel. So I can see here that that email and social and display are really important in this case. And so those are things that I really need to pay attention to.
So Jim, by looking at this example, we can see that we had 327 assisted conversions from social. So how would you use this information to and these insights to change your online strategy?
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically what you would do is you would take this information and maybe it's something where you're not advertising on social network. Maybe it's something that you want to understand what conversations are being had, or being are going on social. You can understand maybe dive into Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook and to really see what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe it's something that where you may want to advertise a little bit more to, let's say, a gaming network on social. Maybe you want to tweak your social because it's really driving your sales. Something that you probably wouldn't have known if you didn't look at this report, and it's something that where you can really kind of move the needle and sort of make some tweaks and then optimize to that specific network. So it's a good question. So let's see. So this is the same assisted conversion report, but this time I've added a second dimension for keyword, and you can drill down at a whole, see a whole bunch of other dimensions, but in this case I just chose keyword, and we can see that 75 assists were from a display remarketing ad, and only 14 where we would be getting credit for on the last click, right? So in this first column, display is actually pretty important. Just never gets credit, right? I mean, it's always sort of taken for granted as not being very valuable. But we can see that it has a 5-to-1 ratio here, almost of being an assister. And so while it might not be, that much, you don't want to necessarily turn off the spigot to display. It's something that you may want to just keep going. And you know, a lot of advertisers, what a lot of advertisers do with this data is they actually export this list and compare it to their current paid campaigns, because, you know, of course we can see, you know, keywords, and we can see what keywords are assisting. And so it's really powerful to understand, you know, where your coverage is in terms of your keywords. This is, you know, this is just data that you can kind of just rip out in just a few minutes out of the tool without any cost. It's just there waiting for you. So and so just to kind of, you know, show you another thing that's great about multi-channel funnels is that, you know, this is the top conversion paths. So, you know, we can see, you know, social is, again, shows up as a, you know, something that comes through social and then direct. So I found out about something on social, and then I came back, and that's contributing to the values here on the right. So we have an e-commerce tracking on this site. So we're actually tracking revenue directly into Google, and so we contribute direct values of different actions right into the tool here. So that's just, you know, great information for your CMO to have. You know, taking a little bit of a deeper dive, you know, on the keyword. What if I wanted to know kind of what branded keywords are assisting in conversions? Well, you know, I can, similar to an advanced segment, and I can ID the keyword here. It's the term FPS. I think, you know, maybe that's like first player gaming, and in an example, branding term, branded search term, and you can see the setup is, you know, fairly straightforward. I mean, you basically just enter it in, and here we basically can see. I'm looking at the keywords, which keywords specifically are branded and are actually assisting. So, you know, what role are they playing? You know, how much value are these branded keywords versus non-branded keywords, you know, playing? And so this is great for your SEO folks to understand this data. So, you know, of course, you can set up branded and non-branded keywords through this feature here, where you would you could include or exclude you know, and add on here like different terms, so that this gives you the ability to sort of toggle between branded and non-branded keywords, and so this is great information. Great. So so the next thing I wanted to talk about is Google Docs and getting Google Analytics into Google Docs. Why is that important? Why do you want to do that? Well, you know, we get a lot of requests to do this. You'd be surprised at the first thing we hear out of clients is that, you know, they have this great dashboard, and, you know, they have all this great information, but it's a little tough to kind of get this around to different people. It's a little hard to sort of rip out these different reports out of the dashboard. They're a little unwieldy sometimes. You know, they're a little tough to customize, and, you know, honestly, Google will tell you that they really, you know, the bounds of the interface that you see isn't the end of it. You know, it's basically they want you to have the data, and there was a way to easily do that. And so basically, what we're seeing here is, you know, a custom report. In another limitation sort of inside of the interface is that we basically have, you know, the ability to, you know, let's say I'm a restaurant chain, and I want to know, you know, what is this, you know, when are people coming to my website? You know, maybe they're looking for menus or understanding, you know, the day of the week. You know, what are the sources that I need to know? But I have only two sources here that I can, two dimensions that I can include in this interface. And so it's a little bit of a limit. And so so basically what you're looking at here is the Query Explorer, and this is just kind of a little bit of a taste of what the API is. And basically, what you can see is, you know, a bunch of dimensions and metrics that you can enter in, and to the right, you know, literally you just kind of check a box, and it'll kind of spit out it'll fill all these these IDs for you, so that the link is on the bottom. You can see if you guys want to go in and have a look at this yourselves. But basically, as long as you have a Google Analytics account, you can log into this Query Explorer and have a look at the API, and this is a report right out of the query builder. It's basically an Excel. So if I hit get data out of here, and this is what you would see, something similar to this, where right away I'm seeing my title, page title. I have a source, a medium. I see my week, and I can keep going off to the right. These are all dimensions. See, I'm getting more than 2. And here are my conversions. How many people signed up for my training course in Chicago? These types of things are available right in Excel, so you don't necessarily have to mess with the interface anymore. You can go right into the API. Let's see. So Google Docs, like how do I get actually into Google Docs? I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of a taste of their configuration. So basically, all you really need to do is go into Google Docs, and there's a setup screen that you'll see. There's a link at the bottom actually that's a blog post by Nick Mihailovsky from Google that does a really nice job on walking through how to set this up. Very straightforward. You can essentially set up these reports right into Google Docs, and essentially what you see is this kind of a configuration screen. This is where it gets maybe a little bit more involved, where you have to really understand the combination of your metrics and dimensions. But basically, this is kind of what you would do if you wanted to see something inside of Google Analytics. So right here, I basically have page title, medium, the week, etc. This is basically what we just saw. And then this is actually a brand new feature. Inside of Google Analytics, it's the multi-channel funnels inside of the API. So you're able to get information right out of the API. So if I didn't really want to go into Google Analytics and see the first and last click sources and things that we just saw in multi-channel funnels, if I wanted to understand what those interactions are specifically, I can produce a report, something like this. Of course, you can create more simple dashboard reports. Anything that really is in Google Analytics, you can grab inside of the spreadsheet. And it just, why is it important? Because it saves you a lot of time. It produces the value for, saves your analysts a lot of time. It zooms right into the stuff that you want to do without having to have everybody worry about going into Google Analytics. Everybody understands a spreadsheet. Most people that I've ever dealt with more than a Google Analytics interface. So it's really powerful. It's really easy. Well, it's not. I don't want to make it sound like it's too easy, but it's definitely it's something that you can definitely get your hands on, and so so I wanted to move on to talking a little bit more about configuring Google Analytics. And this is with SalesForce, and SalesForce obviously is a thing that everybody has, that everybody wants to see. When somebody filled out a form, where did they actually so we can track things in Google Analytics and we can track them in Salesforce. So oftentimes these are two separate things, right? I mean, basically on the right you see inside of Google Analytics, these are this is a party from this form. This is in Seattle. This is a restaurant chain. And John Smith is signed up and from a company and has given his phone number, and that information goes into Google Analytics. Great. But in Google Analytics, we don't really know that that's John Smith. We don't know where he came from. But with a little configuration, a little JavaScript, we can actually see that that information directly into Salesforce. And it's something that we've actually done for this restaurant chain, where we were able to add a bunch of information from Google Analytics and pull it right directly into the web to lead form. And so what you see here is a Salesforce form, just like you normally see, but that you can add columns for Google Analytics. So we see John Smith or other names here. We can see where they came from. We can see the source, where they came from, and the terms that they used, etc. And so this is something that you really can't do inside of Google Analytics. It's against the terms of service, but that you're able to sort of take that source and push it over into a CRM. Of course, it doesn't have to be Salesforce. It can be other CRM tools, but Salesforce seems to be like the most popular ones that we've done quite a bit of. And so great information, great value. I'm able to understand at an individual level. If I'm the CMO, I'm able to understand, gosh, open table is really valuable. I didn't really consider that. I didn't know that was maybe I didn't know that Urban Spoon was a way that people found out about my restaurant and wanted to make a reservation. So, and to these businesses, that's oftentimes millions of dollars that they really need to understand this information to get more people to sign up for their in this case a restaurant that was trying to rent out their part of the restaurant for their a wedding or a party, private party. But this is great information.
So Jim, can you integrate with other CRMs besides SalesForce with GA?
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, absolutely. So basically, what you're able to do in the JavaScript is inside of Google Analytics basically is saves a cookie, and with the cookie, things like different information like the source, the how many times you went to the site, different things. Different things like not just where I came from, but how many times did I take to convert? Things like what was the first source? So if I saw open table, and then the first time, and the second time I saw maybe another source. Google Organic was my first source in this case, right over here, and so really able to understand at a very detailed level. And this information can, of course, doesn't have to go into SalesForce. It's just JavaScript that can be pulled into any CRM, and so it just is such that we often are doing SalesForce integrations, but any other CRM system this would work with. So
great.
Yeah. So so let's talk a little bit about Tag Manager. Google Tag Manager. It's a brand new feature from Google Analytics that just was released, I think, within the last 2 weeks, and it's really a great tool that allows you to get really to refine and it really allows you to customize the tags that are served on your site, not just Google Analytics, but AdWords, Floodlight, DoubleClick, things, any kind of tag that is being served on your site, you can customize. So why would you want to consider Tag Manager? What is it really good for? So there's a lot of times a lot of tags can slow down your site, and so you can identify like on specific pages. Let's say I want an AdWords conversion tag on when somebody clicks Add to Cart, or I want a Floodlight tag or Remarketing tag when somebody does another action on my website. So typically right now it's really hard to manage that. And so you can sort of streamline that whole process and free up your IT resources, and it gives your marketers really the greater flexibility to track and target those segments. And so basically it sort of puts that whole process on the marketing team's plate a little bit in a little bit more of a fashion that I don't have to go through the IT department. I can actually just go into this interface, which you see here, and I can figure out, well, I want this remarketing tag to fire on this page, and you're looking at it. It's basically, this is basically, it's Google Tag Manager is completely outside of Google Analytics. It's its own product, and it's like I said, it's very removed from. It doesn't just handle Google Analytics. Some people are actually using it to do Omniture and Web Trends, other tags. A lot of folks are using it to just to handle remarketing or other things. Other folks are using it to do Google Analytics code. But what does it actually take to get it set up? I mean, I'm going to kind of geek out here and show you a little bit of code. Maybe some of you guys will recognize that on the top, this is the Google Analytics script, and that this is basically has to go on every page, and that doesn't change with Google Tag Manager. The code on the bottom basically replaces that code that would go there, but that actually goes it can go on at the end next to the closing body tag, so it can go on the very bottom of the page. And basically, this just buys you the freedom of being able to really do, once it's on the page, you're back in this control panel over here. If I can, sorry, I'm back over to this control panel, and I can actually control everything from here, from this tag. Whereas before, I'm just kind of, it's basically just JavaScript and it's serving, and that's it, and I'm kind of lost. So, so there's three parts to Tag Manager. There are really three important things that you should know. There are rules. Rules are basically, how you want things, or when you can fire stuff. Macros basically, where is that data stored? Is it on the page? Is it in your DOM, your domain object model? Is it actually in a tag that I've created? And then the tags that you're really able to control are Google Analytics, JavaScript, as I mentioned, HTML, AdWords, Dart, etc. So it's almost kind of like a little bit of a almost like a mini kind of CMS for your code. And I have to say that this is free, which is great. I can say that the predecessor to there's other tools out there that are doing this that cost I want to say you can spend up to hundreds of thousands of dollars on Insighten or Tagman. Maybe not that much, but if you're a big site and you're serving a lot of tags, but obviously this is a free tool. Google basically released it because they want people to. They want their code to be served right. A lot of times it's not inserted correctly, and so they wanted a little bit more control over that, and they wanted to also give the control back over to the marketing teams to control the tags that they want to fire more often. Now this is just an example of how this might work. So this is a travel site, and we can set Google Analytics tags. For example, let's say this is a pop-up, and this is something that wasn't tracked necessarily by me landing on a pop-up page. Let's say I didn't land on the Switzerland page, Switzerland.html, but it's just a pop-up that comes up on the screen that I normally would be blind to that information. But with Tag Manager, you can basically say, well, every details page, I want to see that. I want to see a Google Analytics page fired. So here, we have, this is kind of a little bit of a dive, a look into it. So you can see that we have our track page view. I'm tracking dynamic page load on the HTML. This is a custom HTML tag. And on Providence, Puerto Rico, San Francisco, and Switzerland, I'm basically doing, and on the Providence page, I'm pointing over here to where Providence is, when that actually happens, fire this tag. And so that's basically how it would work, right? So you're basically, you do just a little bit of a setup, but you can see that it's the same rule essentially for all of these, and so I don't have to sit there and code every single link. It'll just it'll work with a little bit of a setup, and so that's kind of how Google Tag Manager works. The value prop is it saves you a lot of time, and honestly, Google Analytics is a bit of a bear in terms of going, setting up and changing code, and really have sort of one code to rule them all, so to speak. And so, so basically, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit here. And here's just an example of the AdWords tracking. An example of something that if somebody clicked on, let's say if somebody reached the thank you page, or somebody clicked on a button, I can do an AdWords remarketing tag right here. It's a simple setup. In AdWords, I can go in and enter some of these some of these fields. The last thing I want to talk about is remarketing. It's basically remarketing is a new feature in Google Analytics. It's so why is remarketing important? These are people that have come to your site. They've completed the conversion. Maybe they've added something to a cart. Maybe they've come late into the funnel and they just dropped out. Well, this is something that we know. As you can see, we can understand a little bit of information from the tracking that we saw before, where we can understand who those people are. So this is a setup screen that shows you the various conditions for your remarketing on your site. There's a lot of settings here, but if I want to, let's say, create my own remarketing segment here, I can basically come in and essentially say, for example, show me those people who came from Japan whose revenue who's spent $100 on the site or more. Maybe it's people who basically who came to the site before and dropped out of the cart. Maybe it's so these are folks that we know who they are anonymously, of course, but you're able to essentially set a sequence also of filters so that a specific set of pages in your site. For example, you can set a filter up to identify visitors who saw your homepage first, followed by a particular product page, followed by your shopping cart, and then you can set up a filter so that pages must be in a certain order, so that that you're then able to remarket to them through the Google Ad Network. So if I know my target audience, let's say that in our restaurant example, I want to be able to set up a very specific target audience of folks from Seattle who reached our thank you page, and I want to include also the people from Denver. I can do that. This is all in Google Analytics. So this is actually going a little bit back to multi-channel funnels. This is a report that that shows the time lag between the number of days when somebody came to your site. So why would you? This is important to know because this is actually information that could help you with the remarketing report. So on the top, I've added a custom segment for those where the first interaction is paid or organic, or any interaction is referral. And we can see that on the third day, 179 conversions came from referral traffic, and those are first-time visitors. So we can take that segment and remarket. Let's say that this would be an example of information that you could get from multi-channel funnels, and that you might want to figure out. Okay, so on that third day, on that third visit, we really want to be able to fire a remarketing tag and so forth. This is a sequence filter. I can focus only on this is another example of folks from Seattle, where the metro. I can look at a metro area for Seattle, and let's say that they basically came to the homepage. And so this is the kind of level of detail that you can get through remarketing, and it's using the data that you have already in Google Analytics to maximize your sales. So questions?
So Jim, great presentation. So now's the time for Q&A. Once again, a quick reminder: we will be sending out a link to the presentation as well as the video a little bit later this week. But Jim, we have a couple questions that have already come in, so let's go ahead and see if we can answer some of these.
Awesome, sure.
So the first question is, how do you get data into SalesForce from GA? I'm only familiar with the web to lead form.
Yeah, so yeah, great question. So basically, we're able to so basically, let me go back to that screen and talk about that. But basically, yeah, the web to lead form is the way that we've attacked it. And basically, on this page that you're looking at, which let's say this is your landing page or the page that has the form to go to Salesforce, you essentially need to put some JavaScript on that page. Contact us offline. I can show you the code or talk to you a little bit about the code. It takes a little bit of customization, but essentially what you're doing is you're evaluating the cookie that's already on the client or the person that's completing the form. You're actually looking at 3 cookies: the UTM-A, B, and C cookies, and the UTM-V, which is the campaign source cookie. And essentially, you're just grabbing that data, storing it in a JavaScript variable, and then just as you're pushing stuff over to the web to lead form, you can push all that data into Salesforce in line, and it works really well. We've done it for several customers. So.
Okay. Um, we had another question about that same sort of thing. Regarding Google Tag Manager, if I need to include GA codes into Tag Manager, should I remove my old codes and move it to GTM? Or shall I keep GA the same and not include GA codes in the Google Tag Manager?
Yeah, so you basically need to lose your old GA code. You don't necessarily have to do it on every page. Google recommends that you include the Google Tag Manager code on every page. So essentially, yeah, so this can go away, and this is basically what you want to have on every page. And then essentially, all you really need to do for Tag Manager is I'm not seeing, I don't have a screen to show you how to do this, but basically, there's a rule that you can do to say, fire Google Analytics code on every page. I think I may have a screen. I don't have a screen on that, but so yeah. So to answer your question, all you really need to do is set up a rule that says fire Google Analytics on every page and remove this tag, and you're good to go.
Okay. So this question's from George. Where in the GA screens can we find A/B testing, content experiments, and goals/custom reports?
Yeah, so you find it inside of, see if I can go into Google Analytics here. See, this is actually Google Analytics, google.com. Yeah, so you basically could go, never do that live. It's basically on the content, it's on the, let me see if I can do this. Just give me 1 second here. I'll show you exactly where it is. So essentially, content experiments is inside of the content menu right here, and this is the setup screen for it. So I can basically, this, you can see it right here. So it's basically under content and experiments. I think everybody should have access to it now, I believe. It's possible that you may not have access to this feature yet. I'm not sure. I'd have to, if you send me your email, I can send you more information about how to get access to it.
Yeah, George, we'll follow up with you after the presentation. So here's another question from Adam. Have you worked with customers who have a call center? Do you have techniques for tying in offline sales data with GA?
Oh, great question. We have worked with call centers. We've done a lot of work with tracking phone, 1-800 numbers into Google Analytics. So there's actually a couple. And I'm not sure if this answers the question that you're looking for. Certainly contact us if this doesn't. But basically, there's ways. There's a tool called Mongoose Metrics that will essentially it gives you an 800 number, and if somebody calls that number, it'll pass that information into Google Analytics as a conversion, and all that data will flow in. So you can use that. Of course, anything with the API, you can there's a lot of things that you can do with the API. We've worked with yeah, so I'm not exactly sure.
Adam, I know from the paid search side, there are companies out there that do dynamic call tracking. So what they'll do is they'll dynamically generate an 800 phone number so that it can be associated with an ad group and a keyword. So that's another option if we're just talking about paid search traffic. And then sometimes what we've done is even done it the old-fashioned way where we get an 800 number and we track the conversions based on that and the people that are calling in and matching it up. It's a little bit manual, but that's some of the things we've seen here as well. So the next question is about multi-funnel stats, social media, remarketing, email, etc. Do we need to tag it manually for analytics to pick up the data, or will it be pulled automatically? Also, our social media doesn't seem to pull e-commerce/revenue stats. Any recommendations?
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, so in order to get multi-channel funnels, there's no special tagging that needs to happen. The three things that you really need for multi-channel funnels to work is to have your auto tagging on. So that might be one of the reasons why your stuff isn't showing up. You need to have Google Analytics code on every page. That's another thing that you need. Essentially, all the social stuff. There's I think 400 plus links in 400 plus social networks. From Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, etc. All that stuff automatically flows in as a social network, so you don't have to really do anything. Google already knows it, and there's a definition of what that social network is. So basically, I would go back in and make sure that your auto tagging is make sure that you have that box ticked inside of AdWords, and essentially, I think that's probably what's going on with your stuff not showing up.
Okay, and we're going to take one last question. If we missed any questions up to this point, we will follow up with you individually, and Jim's contact information is here as well. But here's a good one. Is remarketing function of GA independent of Google Display Advertising product?
It's a great question. It's its own independent product. I mean, it's grabbing information from cookies and from essentially from Google Analytics. And as far as how it works with the display network, I think I'll have to get back on that one specifically to you. I'm not exactly sure how to answer that.
Okay. Well, hey Jim, thanks for the presentation. Some of these questions were definitely difficult, but once again, he'll follow up with you. Once again, we're going to send out a link to the presentation as well as the video for this webinar. And yeah, we appreciate everyone being on here, and look for us to have another one next month. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.